परम करुणा कहूँ दुई जना निताई गौरचंद्र। अवतार सारा शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंदा। अवतार सारा शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंदा। भजो रे भाई चैतन्य निताई दृढ़ विश्वास करी। भजो भजो भाई चैतन्य निताई दृढ़ विश्वास करी। विषय छारिया चेहरा से मौजिया मुखे बोलो हरि हरि। विषय छाड़िया चेहरा से मौजिया मुखे बोलो हरि हरि। परम करुणा कहूँ दुई जना निताई गौरचंद्र। देखो रे भाई त्रिभुवन नाई हे मन दयाल दाता। पशु पक्षी झुरे पाषाण विदरे सुनी जर गुण गाथा। देखो रे भाई त्रिभुवन नाई हे मन दयाल दाता। पशु पक्षी झुरे पाषाण विदरे सुनी जर गुण गाथा। सारे मजिया रोहिली परिया से पदे नहिल आशा। सारे मजिया रोहिली परिया से पदे नहिल आशा। अपना कर्म भुंजाए सामन कहे लोचन दास अपन कर्म भुंजाए सामन कहे लोचन दास परम करुण कहूँ दुई जन परम करुण कहूँ दुई जन निताई गौर चंद्र Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Parama Karuna कहूँ दुई जना निताई गौर चंद्रा परम करुणा सवावतार सारा शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंदा सारा शिरोमणि केवल आनंद कंदा। हरे नाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्री श्री गौड़ताय की जय, श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, शिला गिरिराज कृष्ण की, श्री श्री राधा रमन जी की, गौर प्रमानंदे हरि हरि। So dear devotees, we are reading chapter 11. We will see that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as last class, last evening we saw that Ishvara Puri visited Navadwipa, and he was in ecstasy in Krishna consciousness, and how he went to meet Advaita Acharya. So we were there, and so the chapter title is a meeting of Ishvara Puri. So that must be very, very important meeting, because Lord is meeting his own guru. Nobody can become guru of Krishna, but Krishna can empower anyone to become Krishna's guru. Otherwise, he is not the absolute truth. So before we discuss our topic today, we were in 77th verse, so we will continue from 78th. But I just want to let you know a little bit of focus on the mantra, bhajan that we did. Parama Karuna Pamudvijana Nitai Gaura Chandra. Why they are Parama Karuna? And Jana, they came as human being. Gauranga Nityananda, they came as human. A human only can teach another human. You cannot expect Indra or Brahma or anyone, demigod can come and they can be worshipped by us, but they cannot come and teach us. For that matter, 400 Narayana also cannot teach us, because we cannot relate to them. As a human, we are not capable to relate ourselves to someone who is not within our species. This is very simple. But of course, if you are pure, then you can always correlate with your specific Ishtadeva. So that's a different issue. So, Parama Karuna Pahu Duijana, these two people, Gauranga Nityananda, Krishna and Balaram, they came as a human being, as a devotee, and Parama Karuna Pahu Duijana, Nitai Gauracha, Parama Karuna. Why Parama Karuna? Because they delivered everyone from this material bondage, as well as benedicted everyone with the love for Krishna. You can become the Adhishvara of trillions of universes. That is easy. But what is not easy is to become Krishna conscious, to have attachment, natural attachment for Krishna. So this is very important for all of us to recognize what does it mean. Dear devotees, try to understand this. Sabha Avatara Saro Siromani. Lord came in varieties of incarnation. He came as Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, Parasurama, Rama, Krishna, Balarama, Kalki, Buddha, but it's not a joyful. In the form of Krishna, Krishna killed so many. Rama killed so many. Varaha killed so many. So everyone were destroyer of mlechas, javanas, atheists. But Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, they only gave Krishna prema. They didn't kill anyone. They killed our demoniac propensity by transforming us into a pure Krishna conscious individual. And the witnesses are Jagai and Madhai. Dekho re bhai tribhuvan nai. What is that? Bhaja bhajo bhai Caitanya Nitai. Sudruda Vishwasa kari. And that is why, with full determination, we should take shelter of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu. How we should take? To please them. They want Jare Dekho Tar Kahe Krishna Upadesh. We should make arrangement to give holy name to as many people as possible. And how we can do? Vishaya Chadiya. We must give up sense gratification. Serose Majiya. We must release Krishna consciousness by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dear devotees, देखो रे भाई त्रिभुवने नाई एमनो दयालो दाता. Just introspect, meditate and worship Gauranga Nityananda, because even Pasu Pakhi Jure, Pasana Vidore, Suni Jara Gunagatha, the way they delivered everyone. The animals in Jharkhand forest were delivered. The trees, the birds, and what to speak of human being. No discrimination, Dalit, Brahman, no discrimination. Lord delivered everyone. So, Pasu Pakhi Jure, Pasana Vidare. The animals and birds are crying. Stone is melting. Dear devotees, just think of Gauranga and Nityananda. Just take shelter of their lotus feet. Sangsare mojiya, rohili podiya, sepode nohilo asa. But I, Lila Purushottam Das, is continuously drinking the deadly poison of sense gratification. Apana karamo bhunjaye samana. And hence, I am reaping the deadly fruit of my action and have no love for Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is how I, Lila Purushottam Das, is uselessly living a dead life, a life that has no value. Okay, so let us start. Caitanya Bhagavata. Bojhiya Mukunda eko Krishnara charita, gaite lagila oti premera sahita. Understanding the situation, Mukunda began to sing a song about Krishna with great devotion. Dear devotees, when Ishvara Puri went to the house of Advaita Acharya, seeing him, realized he is a Vaishnava sannyasi. And Ishvara Puri is saying, no, I am what a sannyasi. I am a worm inside a stool. I am a rascal. I am worse than Sudra. What kind of standards these exalted eternal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has set for us to emulate, to be inspired of. And Mukunda Datta, seeing the exalted qualities of Ishvara Puri, sang a song related to Krishna, and Ishvara Puri lost his consciousness. As the sound of Mukunda singing entered his ears, Ishvara Puri fell to the ground. Incessant tears flowed from his eyes. The waves of his love increased again and again. Advaita Prabhu hastily took him in his arms, and his entire body became wet with tears. Where, devotees, you would find someone just hearing. And the other day, when I was telling about Krishna visiting Mathura, killing Dantabakra and Viduratha, and then went to Vrindavan, and then how he took everyone back to Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan. So one devotee in that meeting was absolutely overtaken by that news. This is what has happened. So during the question and answer session, she was telling me, what a wonderful thing you said. Every topic about Krishna is so nectarian. If our tears don't get filled with tears, then we are very hard-hearted. The symptoms of ecstatic love continue to increase rather than diminish. As Mukunda began to loudly recite the appropriate verses, the Vaishnavas' hearts were filled with incomparable happiness as they saw their transformation of ecstatic love. Later, when they learned that he was Ishvara Puri, the devotees all remembered Lord Hari. Who would not know Ishvara Puri path? Because there are so many there who are god brothers of Madhavendra Puri path or disciple of Madhavendra Puri path. In this way, as Ishvara Puri wandered about Navadwipa, in disguise, no one was able to recognize him. One day, as Sri Gaurasundar was returning home from school, by providence he met Sri Ishvara Puri. Seeing his eternal servant, the Lord offered him obeisances. So this is the relationship between Lord and his devotee. Lord considers his eternal associates as his own and hence offered obeisances. The etiquette that householders offer respect to the members of renounced order of life is prescribed in Dharma Shastra. As a Grihastha Brahmana, Sri Gaurasundara duly offered obeisances to the Vaishnava sannyasi. Although Sri Gaurasundara is the Lord of the 14 worlds, and although he later enacted the pastime of accepting initiation from Ishvara Puri, in reality Ishvara Puri was a servant of Sri Gaurasundara, Akela Ishvara Krishna Arsava Vritta. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the only master, and we are all servant, including Lord Nityananda, who is also absolute truth, who is also Vishnu Tattva, but he is also servant of Lord Chaitanya. Although people did not know his real identity, they nevertheless had great respect for him. Vishwambara's personal beauty was indescribable. He was a reservoir of extraordinary qualities. Although people didn't know his real identity, they nevertheless had great respect for him. When Ishvara Puri saw Nimai's feature, he could understand Nimai was a most grave and exalted personality. You understand a person by realizing his gravity, his depth. In fact, when one speaks, you realize who he is. I want to glorify here Radharaman Maharaj. Radharaman Maharaj is a sannyasi, disciple of Radha Govind Maharaj. I have told you at some point of time when ISKCON had a big turmoil in 1995, 96, 97, 98, and many of Prabhupada senior disciples are falling one after another. So we were all new, and there was so that time Radha Govind Maharaj was the biggest hero, and we all used to rush to hear him. His disciple is Radharaman Maharaj, and once I was giving a lecture and it seems she was there, I didn't notice. And he's so humble. Later he went and told some of the brahmacharis that this person looks very ordinary, but when he spoke, we realized what is his depth of understanding. So he spoke something, I don't want to go in details, but the point is, this is the nature of a great devotee. He's a sannyasi. He is practicing he's many years senior to me. But for him, in front of others, to be able to praise me is just extraordinary thing, That shows his transcendental quality. This is what is Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas, they always glorify others. They see others' good qualities only. This is the nature of Vaishnavas. Ishvara Puri inquired, "O best of the Brahmanas, what is your name? What are you studying and teaching? Where do you live?" When the others replied, "He is Nimai Pandit," Ishvara Puri joyfully said, "So you are Nimai?" The Lord invited Ishvara Puri for lunch and then respectfully brought him home. Normally a householder should invite a Vaishnava sannyasi and feed him and take his instruction. And you see, what is the purport? It's the duty of the householder Brahmana to invite Vaishnava sannyasis to their homes for lunch. Therefore, as an ideal householder Brahmana, Gaurasundara invited Sri Puripada to his house for lunch. Mother Sachi prepared an offering for Krishna. After honoring the prasad, Ishvara Puri sat in the temple room. After honoring Krishna prasad that has been cooked by Sachi, Ishvara Puripad sat in the temple room of Sachi's house. Thereafter, Ishvara Puri became fully absorbed while describing the topics of Lord Krishna. This is why we should invite a Vaishnava sannyasi, because when he comes to your house, not only he takes lunch, he honors prasadam, but he narrates Krishna Lila. And Krishna Lila is the only food the soul needs. We don't need anything. Today I don't know whether Manish Yadav is there. कहाँ है? नहीं, Manish Yadav नहीं है. So Manish Yadav was telling me, "Sir, should I appear for GRE? Should I give this? Should I give that?" I said, "How many lifetimes you want to waste? You have wasted so many lifetimes. You have enjoyed whatever you want to enjoy. Give this lifetime to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Give this lifetime to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dear devotees, don't delay. Give. We have enough work to do. Unlimited work. People say people are unemployed. Unemployment has increased, right? I don't think that there should be any unemployment. So much seva is there for Krishna. If we can become freed from all kind of sense gratification, material attachments, unlimited services are there, my dear friends. Unlimited services. While discussing topics of Krishna, Ishvara Puri's spiritual senses became almost inert. He became intoxicated in the service of Lord as if he were directly situated in the spiritual world. The subtle and gross designation of the conditioned souls who are averse to the Lord are obstacles on the path of realizing the kingdom of Vaikuntha. By discussing topics of Hari, such obstacles are surpassed. So, dear devotees, Ishvara Puripad, after taking lunch in the house of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, started speaking about Krishna. The Lord was satisfied to see his unprecedented symptoms of love, which he did not normally manifest due to people's misfortunate position. So I would like someone to read the purport. Yesterday we had gone up to Anmol Avasti, Bapi Sarkar, Govind Sethi, Hariam Birla, and Jayant Kumar Mohanto. These four will get today's chance. First, Bapi Sarkar. Bapi Sarkar. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna sir, Dandavad Pranam.
हाँ बोलो पढ़ो.
The word Dino Dosha are explained as follows. Due to the conditioned souls aversion to Lord Hari, they are cheated from the wealth of service attitude. Therefore, they are called Dino or Pargona, poor or miserly, not Brahmana. The Vaishnavas do not reveal their good fortune to the conditioned soul. The heart of those who make a show of Vaishnavism to impress people are full of duplicity. Seeing the disqualification of ordinary people, Vaishnavas do not allow them to know symptoms of their worship or the characteristics of their service. Because the Prokita Sahajivas claim to be Vaishnavas, they cannot recognize pure devotees. In their first encounters with Sri Raya Ramananda and Sri Pundarika Vidyanidhi, respectively, Sri Pradyumna Mishra and the resident of Navadwipa foolishly considered them as attached to material enjoyment. We will see in the 16th chapter of this book that a pseudo Brahmana was beaten by a snake charmer simply for imitating Sri Thakura Haridasa. Since the devotee who release love of God do not exhibit their loving sentiments either in the marketplace or to the materialistic Sahajivas. The Prokita Sahajivas consider such pure devotees of Lord to be sense enjoyer and thus drawn in mere of offense. Because this evil practice was going on the one, Sri Puripada, though a Vaishnava sannyasi did not exhibit transformation of love in the dress of sannyasi. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bapi Sarkar. Thank you very much for reading. So, dear devotees, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was astounded by the devotional or the prema that Ishvara Puri demonstrated while speaking about Krishna. But he was not demonstrating his ecstasy in public. And that pleased Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu was pleased because here is a person who doesn't show that he is a devotee in public. We should never present ourselves to be a great devotee in the public. Then it will become very cheap. Sahajiyas do it. We have seen how a Brahmana was bitten mercilessly by the snake charmer when he tried to imitate Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was never interested to make a show business. But, by Krishna's arrangement, he was attracted to the song the snake charmer was singing, which glorifies Ananta. And Haridas Thakur was in ecstasy hearing the transcendental qualities of Ananta, our Lord Nityananda. Ishvara Puri stayed for few months in Navadwipa at the home of Sri Gopinath Acharya. Gopinath Acharya. So Gopinath Acharya is the same personality who is the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Gopinath Acharya was that time in Navadwipa and he stayed in his house. So who is next in that line? Govind Sethi, please.
Hare Krishna, sir. Dhanavad Pranam, sir.
Bolo.
Gopinath Acharya was a resident of Navadwipa, the son-in-law of Maheshwara Visarada, who lived in Vidyanagara, and the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Madhusudana Vachaspati. In the opinion of some, he was the incarnation of Lord Brahma. As described in Gaunadesha Dipika, Gopinath Acharya Nama Brahma Jayo Jagatpati Navavriye tu Ganito Yat Tanre Tantra Vidhi. Gopinath Acharya was the incarnation of Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. He was one of the Navavivas and a knower of the Tantras. In the opinion of others, he was Ratnavali, Sakhi of Braja. As stated in the Gauraganodesha Dipika 178, Pura Prana Sakhi Yasi Namna Ratnavali Vipraje Gopinath Acharya Nirmala Vena Visuta. Ratnavali, the Prana Sakhi of Braja, has now appeared as the pure learned Gopinath Acharya. Since Puripada came in the disciplic succession of the senior Vaishnava Sri Madhava Muni, he is included in the Brahma Sampradaya.
So dear devotees, Gopinath Acharya's Swarupa is being described in this purport. So some say that he was the incarnation of Brahma, and the others say that he is the incarnation of Ratnavali, and so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying that if you look at the connection, if Gopinath Acharya is Brahma himself, and then Ishvara Puri is coming in the disciplic succession, Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. So hence it was fitting that he stayed in the house of Gopinath Acharya. Everyone was overjoyed to see him. The Lord would also regularly go to visit him. Seeing Gadadhar Pandit's tears of love, all the Vaishnavas felt great affection for him. As he was detached from worldly life in childhood, Ishvara Puri also felt similar affection for him. Dear devotees, there is no alternative to detachment. Detachment and detachment. These are the ways of spiritual life. We are all the Krishna Bhaktas that live in the society. While living in the society, if we are not detached, then we will become a Sahajiya. It's guaranteed. You live in the society and you are not detached and you say that you are a devotee, that means you are a Sahajiya. 100% guaranteed. That is why detachment, dear devotees. Vaishnavas are allowed to stay in the society because they have the power to stay in the society. By Krishna's grace, they can remain like Padma Patra Ivam Bhasa. Just like a lotus leaf remains within the water but uncontaminated by the water. Similarly, only a devotee can live in this society and still can remain uncontaminated. So Gadadhar Pandit and Puripada, Ishvara Puripada, they had a great attachment for each other. And here Gadadhar Pandit is Swayam Radharani. He had Gadadhar Pandit study a book that he had written named Krishna Lilamrita. Krishna Lila. Those days writing a book hell of a job. Hey? Sri Ishvara Puri composed or compiled the book Sri Krishna Lilamrita, which he taught to Sri Gadadhara Pandita Goswami as he considered the boy worthy of affection. After studying and teaching, the Lord went in the evening to offer his obeisances to Ishvara Puri. Ishvara Puri was happy to see Nimai. Though he did not know him as the Supreme Lord, he still had love for him. Ishvara Puri smiled and said, "You are a big scholar. I have written a book about the characteristics of Lord Krishna. I would be most satisfied if you would tell me if there is any fault in it." So can you see? He is a Vaishnava sannyasi. Okay, he has written something about Krishna, and whatever he must have written inspired by Krishna only. But he has that humility to ask Nimai Pandit, although he doesn't know Nimai is Krishna, but for him to tell a small boy, can you please give me a critical comment about my book, there may be some faults or many faults. The Lord replied, "Whoever finds fault in a devotee's description of Lord Krishna is a sinful person. Krishna is certainly pleased with his devotee's poetry, even though it is imperfectly composed. An uneducated person may chant Vishnaya, while a sober person will chant the proper form Vishnave. But the Supreme Lord Krishna will accept both forms when they are chanting with devotion." Okay? So, Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So, Vaishnava. Because Vishnu Dhatu, Vaishnava, no, not Vishnu Dhatu, Vaishnava. So, I'm forgetting, in Sanskrit, maybe Pavan is there. Pavan, do you remember what will happen at Chaturthi Vibhakti? Vaishnava, it says Vaishnava instead of Vaishnavaya.
So for whom?
Are Vaishnava.
Yes, so that will be same, so Vaishnavaya.
Acha, so it thinks it is Vishnava. Shisave. It is Vishnava. Okay. So, suppose you have a Vishnu and Om Vishnave Namaha, right? That's what you would say. Instead of Om Vishnave Namaha, suppose you say Om Vishnaya Namaha. Then also Krishna doesn't find fault in it, because he sees the Vava in it. So, according to Sanskrit, Om Vishnave Namaha is correct. Om Vishnaya Nama is wrong. But, a devotee may not be very literate in Sanskrit. He will say Om Ramaya Nama. So, he will say Om Vishnaya Nama. Right. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, doesn't matter whether you say Vishnave Namaha or Vishnaya Namaha. So who is there? After Hari Om Birla.
Hare Krishna ji, Dandavat Pranam.
Bolo.
To Lord Krishna, a Pandita expert in correct language and someone ignorant of correct correct language are both equal. Of the two, Krishna bestows more mercy on the one who has more enthusiasm for the service of Krishna. Krishna, the omniscient supersoul of every living entity, is not guilty of the fault of particularity,
Partiality.
partiality. The so-called learned person who are devoid of devotion proudly consider themselves learned as they reveal their foolishness by pointing out faults in the transcendental language of the pure devotees. The Supreme Lord and the Master of Saraswatis confirms the foolishness of the so-called learned offenders who are envious of the devotees at every step. Thus, their pride of learning is diminished. Due to the absence of the realization in the absolute truth, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, they belch forth mundane knowledge of sense enjoyment. This is the cause of their disease and fall down. Hare
So, Prabhupada was very, very careful. That is why many times he didn't encourage very much devotees to become expert in Sanskrit, because you become little expert in Sanskrit and then you start speculating. And you may think that you understand the Shastra better than others. So that's because by arrangement of the providence, all our literatures are written in Sanskrit. So somebody becomes Sanskrit expert and starts speaking. Like now I know Satyanarayan Das. He was a very famous scholar in ISKCON in those days, in our initial days, 93 to 96 or 7. In 1907 he was expelled from ISKCON. He had that audacity to ultimately say Prabhupada is also wrong. So this is the problem. You know little bit of Sanskrit and you start saying, making comment on the great acharyas. And that is why. So it says that this is the cause of the disease and fall down. Little scholarship. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was a highly scholarly person. At the age of 21, he got the professor position in Kolkata University. Those days, Kolkata University was #1 university of India. Very prestigious university. Meghnad Saha, Satyendra Bose, big people, were byproduct of Presidency College under Kolkata University. And he was, but out of fear that if he enters into these positions, then he would have to enter into family life. He gave up everything. And invested his energy in preaching Krishna consciousness instead of accepting a scholarly position. Dear devotees, let us not fall victim to our scholarly arrogance and then derail ourselves from the path of bhakti. At the time of offering obeisance to Lord Vishnu, a foolish person chants Vishnaya Namaha and a learned person chants Vishnave Namaha, but both achieve equal piety by their offering of obeisances, because Lord Janardana sees the sentiment of the living being. In other words, he sees the degree of devotion, or in other words, he awards the result accordingly. He does not see one's foolishness or intelligence. Just like, what is that? Prabhupada Pranati, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve. So some say Deve, some say Devam. Both are correct, don't worry. So, one who finds fault with the devotee is himself at fault, for a devotee's descriptions are meant only for the pleasure of Krishna. Therefore, who will dare find fault with your devotional description of Krishna's pastimes? This is what Lord Chaitanya told to Ishvara Puri. Hearing Nimai's reply was like a shower of nectar on the body of Ishvara Puri. He then smiled and said, "You will not be at fault, but you must tell me if there is any error in the book." So finally, Ishvara Puri convinced Nimai, just read. There is some fault, we are humans, we may make some fault. Please find out. Thereafter, Nimai would daily sit with Ishvara Puri for 1 or 2 hours to discuss his book. Wow! Every day 1 or 2 hours. After hearing his poetry one day, the Lord smiled and said, "The verb root of this sentence is incorrect. The Atmanepadi form should not be used here." That means Ishvara Puri has written a book in Sanskrit. After saying this, Lord returned home. Ishvara Puri was a learned scholar in the scripture. He enjoyed analyzing scholastic topics. After Nimai left, Ishvara Puri considered the verb root that he had used and came to a conclusion from different angles. He left the verb in its Atmanepadi form. And when Nimai came the next day, explained, "I have concluded the verb that you said yesterday should be Parasmaipadi should remain Atmanepadi." Dhatus are verb roots that indicate actions. When mixed with 10 inflective classes beginning with lat, they produce various tenses and moods. Considering each verb in 3 persons and 3 numbers results in 9 forms for each tense and mood. Some of these roots are Atmanepadi, some are Parasmaipadi, and apart from these, some are Vaipadi. The Parasmaipadi roots have 90 forms, and there are same number of Atmanepadi forms. Thus altogether there are 180 forms of these 2 kinds of roots. Since Nimai Pandit said that form of root in the verse spoken by Ishvara Puri was not Atmanepadi, Ishvara Puri concluded that according to grammar, the form of the root was Vaipadi. Therefore, there was no fault in using Atmanepadi form of the root. When the Lord heard his explanation, he was most satisfied with his servant's victory, and he did not find any further fault. The Vedas declare that Lord by nature always expands his devotees' glories by making them victorious. In this way, Ishvara Puri passed a few months enjoying scholastic pastimes with Gaurachandra. Ishvara Puri, however, would not remain in one place due to the restless nature of his ecstatic love. He thus went out on pilgrimage to purify the earth. After purifying the town of Navadwipa, Sri Ishvara Puri went elsewhere for the service of Krishna. Such travelling to different places by the Mahabhagavatas is considered restlessness by fools. But those who have strong enthusiasm for serving Krishna are not solicitors of material objects for sense gratification like the ordinary materialistic fools. Whoever hears the auspicious topics about Sri Ishvara Puri lives at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Sri Madhavendra Puri happily gave the complete treasure of his ecstatic love to Sri Ishvara Puri. By the mercy of Krishna, Sri Ishvara Puri obtained love of God from his spiritual master, so he travelled free from all anxieties. A description of Sri Ishvara Puri respectful and unalloyed service to his spiritual master, Sri Madhavendra Puri and attainment of his mercy is found in the Caitanya Charitamrita, Antelila 8.26-30. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Chanda Jana Vrindavana Dasatavu Pada Yuge Gana. Accepting Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Thus ends this English translation of Gaudiya Bhashya, commentary on Sri Caitanya Bhagavata Adikhanda chapter 11 entitled Meeting with Sri Ishvara Puri. Dear devotees, because you are very merciful, we finished chapter 11 and tomorrow we'll start chapter 12. And we are done today very quickly. 9:11 only. Okay. Any question, dear devotees? So let me summarize what we had today. That Ishvara Puripad came to the house of Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya realized that he is a Vaishnava sannyasi. Ishvara Puripad said, no, I am worse than Sudra. And then to demonstrate that he is not worse than Sudra, Mukunda Datta sang a bhajan glorifying Krishna. And net result was Ishvara Puripad demonstrated spontaneously all ecstasies. He fell unconscious and Advaita Acharya came forward, lifted him in his arm and all devotees realized that he was indeed a pure devotee of Krishna. Ishvara Puripad stayed in the house of Gopinath Acharya, who some say he is Brahma's incarnation, others say he is Ratnavali's incarnation. But in any case, if he is Brahma's incarnation, then it is befitting because Ishvara Puripad is actually in a sannyasi in the line of Brahma Madhava Sampradaya. So Ishvara Puripad would stay there, and one of his favorite pastime was to read his own book, Krishna Lilamrita, to Gadadhar Pandit. Every day he will read an hour or two, and Gadadhar Pandit was feeling blessed in the presence of Ishvara Puripad. Ishvara Puripad is servant, Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani, the master. But in this Leela, the master has become servant or student, and servant has become master. So that is why we can say Panchatattva. Panchatattva, the 5 features of the Absolute Truth are non-different from each other. And one day, Ishvara Puripad met Nimai Pandit on the way, and seeing him he was so pleased. He wondered, who is he? People said he is Nimai. Oh, you are Nimai. Then Nimai offered him obeisances. Although Nimai is God, but for Nimai, Ishvara Puripad is his eternal servant. And as a Grihastha, he has to offer obeisances. And then Nimai invited him for a lunch, and there he demonstrated his love for Krishna by describing the glories of Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy to see that although he is such an exalted devotee of Krishna, he never made public manifestation of his devotion. He kept it secret. Only to devotees he manifested his feeling for Krishna. So Nimai Pandit started also visiting the house of Gopinath Acharya, where Ishvara Puripad was reading Bhagavatam to Gadadhar Pandit. That time Ishvara Puripad would tell Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit, please look at my book and find if there is any fault. And Mahaprabhu would say, no, whatever a devotee writes, that is correct. That is always correct. nobody should find fault with a devotee. But anyway, Mahaprabhu, at the request of Ishvara Puri, would every day come and they will have discussion for an hour or two every day. And one day suddenly Mahaprabhu said, it looks like here this particular root should have Atmanepadi form, but you have made Parasmaipadi. And then he left. And then Ishvara Puripad introspected on that particular thing, and he found that that root is Ubhayapadi. And then he concluded whether he keeps Parasmaipadi or Atmanepadi, both are same. So he didn't change. And when next day Mahaprabhu came, then Ishvara Puripad said, it's a Ubhayapadi, so I should retain it as Atmanepadi. I don't have to change it to Parasmaipadi. And Mahaprabhu was very happy to see that, because for Krishna takes pride in seeing his devotees become victorious. So this way, Ishvara Puripad stayed some time in Navadwipa, performed his Lila, and then he left and went to other places to deliver other living entities. And that is how Ishvara Puripad and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met each other in Navadwipa. It's a very wonderful pastimes. Now we will see the next chapter, chapter 12, from tomorrow evening. Please join in large number. Invite your friends and others in social network. Tell them, if anybody who hears Caitanya Bhagavata will immediately attain detachment from this world, will attain, you don't say detachment, they will become frightened, but you can say you will attain knowledge, transcendental knowledge. Okay? So invite people, make them join, and everybody should relish these topics. Only Piyush Sehgal has the license not to relish, because he can shout during the class, not others. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, anybody has any question? Tanishq Gupta has a question. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Our action in most determine our level of consciousness. Is there any description that this type of action determine this type of level of consciousness? This level of consciousness found in this type of animal. If you will die in this level of consciousness, you will get this body. How to identify our state of consciousness? Your state of consciousness are based on the kind of actions that you perform. A teacher can easily tell the level of consciousness of a student, because that is how Supersoul guides a teacher to correct the student. That's why student and teacher relationship in Krishna consciousness is very important. The teacher can easily catch the modes of the student, in which mode a student is situated. A teacher can easily figure out. That is the only way. There is no other way. But philosophically, we have given, today only I was in Hindi, Bhagavad lecture I was explaining. Suppose there is you are walking on the road and you saw a gold stone. So how do you behave at that point? Would decide in what consciousness you are in. Suppose you saw the gold and then you kept in your pocket and looked in every direction and left, and felt internally very happy. Oh, I have got gold. This is my gold. That means your consciousness is that of greed. Okay? So, that's a very low class consciousness. Somebody sees that, goes and deposits to government or district collector or saying that this is someone has left it. Please find the right owner and give it. So obviously that is mode of goodness. Whereas those who are in the path of perfection, they would see the same gold just equivalent to another stone. They will not make a discrimination between a stone, gold and soil or mitti, mud, dirt. No distinction. For them it is immaterial. Just like Narada Muni was going towards north, he saw prosperous metropolis, gold mines, diamond mines. Nothing attracted him. Then he saw wild forest. Nothing could frighten him. That should be the nature of the people who are seeker of truth. If a seeker of truth is not brave enough, if he is not detached enough, he cannot seek the truth. I hope I have answered your question. Any other question? I am surprised there are no people. People are not asking any question nowadays.
Sir, I have one question.
Who?
Radhakant.
Wow. Radhakant, bolo.
Sir, first Mahaprabhu said that there is no fault in your composition. Then why he pointed out this mistake? I mean, which was not a mistake, but
he pointed out to show that Ishvara Puri is glorious because Ishvara Puri, he wanted to prove that Ishvara Puri is very learned personality. He said it looks like this is not this.
accept defeat from him.
It's not a question of defeat. What is this? Finding Atmanepadi or this or that. They were discussing every day, and then he said, looks like this should not be Atmanepadi, it should be Parasmaipadi. And then it's a small thing anyway, it's not a big thing. But the point is that particular instance was just to because Nimai as a Pandit was very popular, very, everybody used to fear. If Nimai says something, everybody was frightened, they were in pants. Nobody would even, if people don't understand what does it mean, even Mahaprabhu is showing some fault means it's like, you should be. But Ishvara Puripad only would resist. He didn't accept that this is a fault. He explained he must have thought, he must have spent the whole night without even sleeping because is it correct or wrong, correct or wrong, correct or wrong. And finally he stuck to his gun and said, no, this route is Uvaipadi, so I can retain Parasmaipadi. So this idea was that you have to realize that Nimai, who is Nimai? Nimai is not an ordinary 10 or 12-year-old boy, the way Ishvara Puri is saying. No, everybody knows who is Nimai. He is a terror in the heart of Navadwipa. If he speaks, you already everybody knows. Nimai says something. If you don't accept, you will be finished. Who is not defeated by Nimai there? He is Nimai Baba, he is Krishna himself. So Ishvara Puripada actually by that action was glorified. Santosh. It appears that Lord Brahma has incarnation simultaneously in two forms, one in Haridas Thakur, other Gopinath Acharya. Are these two same Brahma or Brahma of two different universes? This fellow goes into his Dukrun Karanam status. How will it help you, Professor Santosh Kumar, whether he is from, they are two different Brahma or same Brahma or how it is going to help your devotion, I don't know. But I can tell you this is only same Brahma. There is no issue about it. But then there are also, there are some acharyas, they say that Gopinath Acharya is also Ratnavali. So it is possible Ratnavali and Brahma combined incarnation is Gopinath Acharya. So it's all mystical potential. Krishna can bring his eternal associates and double things. Like now we had Vishakha and Arjuna in the same body of Raya Ramananda. So similarly, Krishna can bring two souls together and one body. So it's up to Krishna how he uses anyone. Dear devotees, today I looked at almost 30 people's answers. So many of you have not even opened your account. I would request all of you to, why you have, if you have registered, then you should do the course properly. But you register and don't do, then that is not nice. It doesn't. It is very disrespectful. It is very disrespectful. If you have registered for a course and you don't do it, it's very disrespectful. Disrespectful to the process, disrespectful to Krishna, disrespectful to the parampara. Now this is not a material course. Oh, I didn't know, and hence, I took it wrongly. No, this is a spiritual course and everybody should actually take this course. Everybody must learn what is Bhagavad Gita as it is. And I would request everyone to take it seriously and answer the questions every day, put some time. And then we are making some set of mentors, and they will also again take care of others. So I request all of you to read. You don't know actually. In my lessons, it may appear some English words, but there are many confidential concepts are there. If you read carefully only. Now today I was seeing there are some people, they are particularly Anu, Subendu's wife, and Panchal. I like their answers because they were thinking and answering. They're not simply they read and then try to vomit. Even if in a very simple concept they're telling, but they're telling in their own way. And this is what impresses a teacher. Given a question, when you take that question to your heart and start giving an answer, not the usual answer, but you are giving an answer the way you contemplate within your heart. That is very pleasing actually. So do these courses nicely. It will give you tremendous amount of inspiration. So be assured of it. If she has completed her course, Prachi has completed a course 1 month back, then you tell her to answer again, because we have changed all the questions. I have not checked her answers, but if she has answered a month back, I think, then is Prachi there? Prachi, did you answer the questions after we edited? Or old question?
Yes, sir.
Hare Krishna?
I answered 1 month, 1.5 months back.
That means you have given the answers to old questions.
Yes, old questions, yes.
So I will reset. You have to give answer again. Okay?
Okay.
Because there are many questions that have been A lot of editing was done in the questions. Still, you see, this course is like that. It is very, very wonderful. Like, there are one question is that I have told this, and there's still many people that make this mistake. I said, who is the actor? If an action or event takes place, who is the actor, right? And many times I have told, there are three actors. One actor is soul, the other actor is the super soul, and third actor is Prakriti, material modes of nature. Okay? So many people are making mistake in this. So you will all become mentors. So that's why I am telling you. You have to correct everyone. Soul as an actor he is not responsible for the action that is taking place. But he is responsible because he has misused his free will. That is his action. As an actor, he has misused his free will. So that's why he is actor. That is why he is responsible for the results that comes out. Although Prakriti is enacting the actions, but he is responsible for those actions. Okay? And Super Soul, if he sees the soul is surrendered, then he guides him in the path of devotion. And he sees that he is not surrendered, then he remains neutral and allows the three modes of material nature to wreak havoc on him. So these are the three actors. There are everything in Bhagavad Gita. Every day you will have realization. You should not think I know. There are many of you who are very senior. You have written the answers a little carelessly, which was not necessary, which was not very good. We should take these questions very seriously and should try to introspect and give a very natural answer, because these are all devotional service. Devotional service. I saw also Sudhir has done some good answer. He has finished all 10 lessons, and he has also some good, nice answers he has given, but he has made many mistakes in terms of typos, grammar, grammatical errors. But I was not expecting that from Sudhir, because he's a South Indian, right? Telugus normally don't do typos or grammatical mistakes, but that was little. So hopefully I will see, Prachi, if you have given the answers to new questions, then I would correct. And if you have given answers to old questions, I'll reset. So you can check that tomorrow, okay? What happened? If there is no other question, चला गया क्या? If there are no questions, then we will stop. Santosh Kumar is saying, in case of soul who is partially surrendered, to what extent Prakriti is the actor? Yeah, partially surrendered means क्या? 50-50? नहीं. Partially surrendered means some actions you are really surrendered and some action you are sold to Maya. Partially surrendered means what? No. So, either you are stolen by Maya, or you cannot say. I don't know what is your question. Partially surrendered to Krishna. Yeah. Partially surrendered to Krishna. Yatha mam prapadante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. Krishna says that answer. So depending on your surrender, sometime Krishna will keep you in Maya and sometime he will bring you to the association of devotees. But why you should ask some questions like this? You should say, you should ask the question, how can I ensure that I am always surrendered to Krishna? Okay. Next one. Mukunda began to sing the glorify Ishvara Puri path. So if the devotee is being humiliated in public, shall it be a duty of other devotee to glorify or remain silent because in public it should not be disclosed? I didn't follow the question. संजय जी, क्या आपके प्रश्न हैं?
हरे कृष्णा सर, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
हाँ बोलिए।
सर, जैसे कोई अगर डिवोटी को ह्यूमिलिएट कर रहा है,
हाँ,
तो हमें उसको जैसे उसको ग्लोरीफाई करना चाहिए पब्लिक में, अदरवाइज साइलेंट रहना चाहिए।
नहीं। अगर डिवोटी को कोई ग्लोरीफाई ह्यूमिलेट कर रहा है तो हमें तो पत्थर उठाना चाहिए। हाँ, we should not tolerate the humiliation of any devotee in public. No. Never. It is just like we should not tolerate anybody is offending to Krishna in public. Similarly, we should not tolerate public humiliation of devotees. It is not good for our devotion also. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai. लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। श्री श्री राधा रमन की जय। शिला गिरिराज कृष्ण की जय। गौर प्रमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।